Okay, here we go. I'm going to try to film this, or video this. Gonna try and make another batch of cheese. My daughter and I did this like 3 days ago or whatever, and we had so many starts and stops, and it was a problem. I really didn't know what I was doing. She was instructing me. She has done it before, been a long time ago. But anyway, so I have 2 gallons of milk, and I need to reach 30 degrees Celsius. It's 25 right now. I need to reach 30 degrees Celsius, which is like 80 something. I don't know what it is Fahrenheit. The reason I looked it all up, she looked it up for me too, in Celsius is because that's all my temperature meter actually reads in is Celsius grade. So anyway, we're at 26 degrees. I just want to keep it stirring because I don't want it to scald, but here's what I'm doing to help keep it from scalding. Let me show you. I think this is pretty cool. I have a propane stove, and you see that pie pan turned upside down? That distributes the heat more evenly so that I don't have to worry about it scalding on the bottom. I think that's pretty cool. And being cast iron, it can take the heat. Anyway, so here we are, stirring. I'm trying to wait for it to get to the right temperature. And it's at 27. We only have 3 degrees to go. Once it reaches 30 degrees, I'm going to stir it real hard, get it going, really fast, and I'm going to pour the rennet in. I've already got the rennet mixed up. It's kind of a little more water than it calls for, but it's okay because the water will just work out in the way. So that way I don't have to worry about pockets of increased rennet so much. Anyway, we're at 28 degrees. 2 more degrees to go. When I get there, I'll show you we're almost there. We just got, I keep hanging up on that. I'm using stainless steel. It's a stainless steel pot, stainless steel spoon. Obviously, my thermocouple is not stainless steel, but I don't think that's going to hurt anything. And we'll go around, get it moving so I can see where we're really at. Yeah, we're at 28, 2 more degrees. But I don't really have to scrape the bottom because it's not going to stick. 30 degrees Celsius isn't even blood temperature. I mean, that's just a little bit lower than blood temperature, I think 37, maybe 37.5 is like 98.6. We don't have to get there to add the rennet. We just have to get to 30. Let me go ahead and pause this because it's going to take a little bit to get this last 2 degrees. Okay, here we are. Well, pretty much it's popping in between. Yeah, 30 degrees. We're going to wait till it gets stabilized at 30 degrees where it doesn't pop back and forth. Come on. You can do it. Okay, well. Okay, so at this point, we're gonna go like a really fast movement. Now let me get going. Sorry, I didn't open the jar. Alright, so we're gonna go, I don't know if I can do this with one hand. Really fast movement. And then I'm gonna pour this in. Stir it 1 or 2 times. Take the spoon out, turn the heat off, and let it set. We'll come back and show it here directly as soon as it sets for a while. It needs to set like 20 or 30 minutes. I'll kind of keep an eye on my timer and see how long it takes. Okay, so it's set for about 10 minutes, and here's how you know it's ready to go to the next step. You reach your finger in, and you pull up, and if it splits, you're ready to slice it. And then, I'm using the back side because it's not sharp, but it's the only thing I got long enough. You start by going all the way to the bottom and making about 1 inch, 3/4 to 1 inch grooves. You know, I mean, it's not precise, just somewhere in there. And you go all the way one direction, parallel to each other. And then when you get done doing that, then you go the other way. And then once you do that, then you try to cut it at an angle. So you kind of cut them chunks in smaller pieces, so it's not a great big long, you know, long square of curds. I'm going to go ahead and slice it and I'll get back. Okay, I've done this way, I've done this way, and now I have to do it this way, which is kind of slicing them in smaller pieces. Now they're going to chunk up some anyway when you move on to the next step, because we're going to make hard cheese, so we're going to heat this back up again. And I'll turn over on this side and do it this way. Okay, now at this point we're going to let it set for a little bit, you know, I don't know, 10 or 20 minutes, and kind of let it the whey kind of ooze out of the curds, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now we start heating it up again, and this time we want to go to 38 degrees, and you don't want to squish it, and you really don't want to be rough with it, but you want to keep it moving so they don't reattach, so they don't bond together. You want them to stay kind of separate. So we're going to mix it until we get about 38 degrees, and then we're going to turn off the heat again, let it set for a minute, and then we're going to lift out the curds and drain them. And I'll show you the rest of that. We're at 34 degrees, so we've got about 4 degrees to go. And you got to keep it moving so the whole thing gets to the same temperature. Even though I've got that pie pan under there, it does obviously get hotter on the bottom than it does in the top, so you got to keep it moving. And if you get any like really big chunks, at least I did last time. This is my second time doing this. My daughter kind of did the mentoring thing with me the first time. If you get any like really big chunks, it doesn't hurt to kind of let like separate them like that, but don't squeeze them or mush them, or you know, just kind of separate them, because you don't want them sticking together, not yet. Anyway, I'll show you the rest of that when we get to that point. Yeah, as you're mixing it, getting up to 38, you can feel the curds getting firmer and firmer. They feel, I mean, they're stiffer than cottage cheese curds are, but that's what you're wanting to do. You're wanting to get them firm, and then we'll drain them out and cover them in a cloth and try to form them into something that's cheese-like. But we got a little. Let me see what our temperature is. Yeah, we're at 35, so we still got 3 degrees to go, 3.5 degrees to go. So this is probably the most intensive part of it, is just keeping it moving so they don't stick together, because if they sit in the bottom, they will stick together, and then you have a big old massive mess in the bottom of your pan. I don't know if you can see it, but this is what it's looking like. The first cheese that we made, we ate some of it pretty fresh, and it was chewy. It was really good. It was really chewy and firm. It wasn't hard, but it was firm. And then we just kind of trimmed it off to make a shape, and now it's aging. So we're going to try and age it naturally and see if we can get some good hard cheese from it. According to my daughter, it takes about 6 weeks of aging to get it to firm up and harden up. She said that she's doing this part of it because I just don't have time to do this every day. But yeah, wipe it down with salt water and cover it up, and you do that every day. Turn it over, because I already did the pressing part of it. It's nice and hard, nice and firm. But to get it to harden up and make a rind, you gotta coat it with salt over, every day, and wipe it off, and then do that until you get a good rind going, and then you just wrap it up and let it age. We're not to that point yet. We're at the coating it with salt every day. Or she is. She's doing it for me. Okay, well, we're pretty much 38. Let it go just a minute or two longer, so it's kind of stuck at 38. Eventually I'll get to where I can tell the temperature just by feel. I haven't gotten there yet. I will probably before winter, because I'm going to have a lot of cheese to make. I don't drink milk typically, but I love cheese, and I make butter. I've been making goat butter out of the cream. I skim the cream off the top. I let the milk set for a day, and then I skim the cream off the top, and I stick it in a mason jar, put the lid on, and then just shake till it coagulates into butter. Yeah, I think we're probably about there. I think so. I'm going to turn the heat off. Turn the heat off. Okay. Now I don't need that in there. I'll mix it for a little bit until it cools. The thing is you got to keep mixing it, because if you stop mixing it at this point, it'll just settle in the bottom and become a big old heavy mass of curds. They'll all stick together, and you don't want them to stick together. You want them to stay in pieces for now. I mean, they'll stick together once you press them. I'll come back after it's cooled down some. Okay, here we are back, and another thing I didn't mention, you want to make sure your hands are clean. I mean, mine are stained from all the work I do around here, but I scrubbed them and scrubbed them and scrubbed them. Let's see how what I'm doing is I'm going to scoop out all the curds I can this way, pour off some of the whey, and then I'm going to pour the rest of it in to get the little itty bitty pieces that this thing. See, this is like this, so it's not going to get the little bitty ones. But just scoop all the curds out of here. This process takes a little bit of time. I mean, it's not something you can just do in 30 minutes. You gotta probably particularly because my milk was partially frozen when I started. It took a while to heat it up, and you got to heat it up slow. And that's like when you go from the 30 degrees to 38 degrees, she told me, and that's what I did, you only want to heat it like 1 degree increase per, 4 minutes, something like that, which is pretty much what I did. Because you don't want to heat it fast. I don't know why. I don't know what it does, but hey, I can follow instructions. Anyway, when I get all this scooped out, I'll start this up again. Okay, at this point, it's starting to try and stick together, and we really don't want it to stick together yet because we have to salt it. And what I'm doing, I mean, there was some designation or some instructions as far as how much salt for how much cheese and that kind of stuff, and I found that I just add it. This is, by the way, this is Redmond's real salt. Anyway, I just add it, mix it, taste it, add it, mix it, taste it, until it's as salty as I want it. Just kind of massage it in there. And yeah, it's trying to stick together. It'll stick together good here in a minute once I bag it up. I'm trying to do a better job of getting a shape up to begin with rather than waiting. Let me pause. Okay, obviously I can't do this part one-handed, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this up and hang it so it can drain a little bit longer, and then I'm going to try and flatten it out into the cheese shape that I want. And what I do is I have this colander inside this bowl, and once I get this wrapped up, I'll stick a plate inside this bowl so it sets it up off the colander so it can be kind of flat and it can still drain into this bowl until it's done draining. Once it's done draining, then we're going to start pressing it. I'm probably not going to be able to add that to this video. This video is probably just about done at this point. But you can eat these curds, just sprinkle them over stuff, and they melt. I mean, just like cheese. You put them on something, heat it up, and they'll melt. They're really, really good, too. They, yep, they're real good. That's why I'm making another batch so soon, is because I wanted some curds. So some of these I'll just eat like this, and some of them I'll try to press into a cheese. This is my Tennessee home. I'm Jo, and this is how I'm making cheese. Talk to y'all later.